Okay, we are streaming on multiple platforms. Hi, I'm Jason Brenizer. This is the Phenomenal Future Project, Phenomenal Future Podcast. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about back in the day when I was making movies under the radar for cheap. How my business partner and I managed to get $4 million worth of we'll say product worth of value on the screen for $0. That's right, $4 million worth of stuff, and we paid absolutely nothing for it. How did we do that? Well, I'll get into it. Just after I, of course, mentioned that the main reason we have this podcast and this program and project and many P's out there is because we believe that there are amazing opportunities for artists to take control of their own careers and jump on the new train that is blockchain and live in a decentralized world and especially be able to engage with fans and cultivate those fans into long-lasting relationships using NFTs and a lot of other things that are coming along in Web3. So that being said, let me get into this little story that I have for you. So I got this idea when I was living in Singapore that I was acting in a number of little films here and there and some Singapore TV. And although those roles were few and far between, and when I did get them, it was mostly in Chinese language stuff, where I didn't know what the heck the actors were saying around me. I just had to say my lines in English because I was usually playing some British guy in colonial Singapore. So that certainly was a great experience and rather difficult, but a lot of fun. And but I met this really interesting guy who was originally from India. He had moved to Singapore. He was CFO of a company, and he was like me, doing a lot of acting on the side. He also was a sword fighter and a martial artist, and like me, does many things. And so we really hit it off, and we started talking about this idea about doing a movie on our own. And we applied, we had a rough script, got a rough script together, the two of us, and we applied to an incubator that the Singapore television system, kind of like the BBC, but for Singapore. They were supporting this little incubator that was trying to get, independent projects off the ground and things like that. And so we applied, we got a kind of a grant. Essentially, we got access to a whole bunch of equipment for very little cost, which was fantastic. Film cameras and lighting and all that kind of good stuff, dollies and everything that you need to do a proper film. So that was the first piece of the puzzle. But of course, there's a lot of other things that go into making a movie that cost a lot of money. And of course, we didn't write a script that was really simple and in somebody's bedroom and taking place there the whole time. No, we wanted to be all over the island of Singapore. And we had this idea that how can we make something that's super engaging, super ambitious, and really showcases all of the aspects of what Singapore has to offer. So it's a tiny country, but there's a lot of really neat stuff there. And also, there's multiculturalism, right? You have many different ethnicities that make up the Singapore population. You've got cultural Chinese, you have Indian, you have Malaysian, you have people coming in from Bangladesh that often are doing a lot of construction work, and of course a lot of expats from all over the world. Lots of Australians are there. And so, yeah, you really have an interesting mix of people, foods, culture. You have some amazing shows there. I happened to see when the Police reunited in 2009, something like that, and did another worldwide tour. I hadn't toured since the early 80s. We saw them in Singapore, of all places, right? So pretty cool place. And we really wanted to show that off. Now, that was part of our story that we were telling, to amass all of the things that we needed to get, to attract the actors that we wanted to get in our show, to attract the locations that we wanted to film at. How do we do that? Because we didn't have a lot of money. It wasn't like we were throwing money at people and they would go, oh yeah, okay, sure. Because that's an easy, I think, conversation, or easier. No, we had to come up with a compelling story. We had to be resourceful and not rely on resources that you typically would. We had to really get crafty and creative, not just in the storytelling of the film itself, but the storytelling to even get the cameras on a location with the right stuff in the background to highlight the story that we were doing. So we ended up, and how much did I say? Did I say about $4 million worth of stuff on the screen? Yeah, definitely. Three things made up the bulk of that. The first, Harley Davidson had just opened up a shop in Singapore, and the two of the characters that were main characters in the film, we wanted riding motorcycles. Now, of course, you're in Asia, and you're typically going to see a lot of Japanese motorcycles. Those are pretty standard. But since Harley Davidson was new and in Singapore, and had a certain cachet about it, and they wanted to kind of get known a bit more, of course, having Harley Davidsons on a movie and being part of the PR and everything that we were doing, and being able to go to the grand opening of the film and all that kind of stuff, we were able to compel them into giving us a couple of motorcycles for free. Brand new, just off the boat, fresh off the boat, FOB. And I think now in Singapore, things cost a heck of a lot more. It's a tiny little country. When you're talking about cars, not everybody can have one, and so they price them insanely high. Plus, there are all kinds of taxes and things like that that go along with it, as a way to kind of keep that pressure down. So, two Harley Davidsons, kind of the top of the line, came to $120,000. Of course, you've got insurance that you have to pay for that per year. So if you were to own one of these yourself, you'd be paying $10K a year. And road tax is like $6K a year. So all told, that's $136,000 worth of value up on the screen. The second thing that we managed to get for a number of scenes was a lime green Lamborghini. Now, the entry-level Lamborghini, if you want to buy one in Singapore, right now, about $798,000. I'll say that again, $798,000. Like, that's a really nice house in the United States. So not everybody can, of course, afford a Lamborghini, but you see them driving around all over the place in Singapore. It's a very status-driven country. And so that plus, what they call the COE, there's tax, of course, about $41K, insurance $10K, road tax $6K, comes to about $855,000 for someone to be driving that Lamborghini. Now, I'll tell you, I'll go into a little bit of story, but first, I want to give you that third piece of equipment that we found. It was a Trimaran yacht, okay? Well, there was also another boat, actually, that we got for a different film. And that person got us introduced to the person who was the captain of this yacht. That other boat, by the way, in our other short film, was one that was used in, I think it was the second Batman movie with Christian Bale. So interesting little note there. But yes, this Trimaran yacht, not only did we get access to it, but not just in dock. They actually took us out while we were filming. We wanted it moving on water, and then we also wanted it, sitting still in a secluded area, so that in the background you wouldn't see any buildings and everything. And if you know anything about Singapore, most of the island is just jam-packed with a city. So we had to find a good secluded spot, and it was a whole day worth of filming and a lot of fun for the crew as well. So right there, that comes to about $4 million. Of course, we also attracted a cinematographer from Thailand And he brought his own gaffer and his own key grip. So lighting and camera movement kind of people. They were fantastic, some of the nicest guys ever. And of course, the cinematographer had his own red camera, and that was a very new thing at that point too. And yes, we paid them, but you know, we had to sell them on that story too, right? And it's not like we had a huge history of making, you know, ambitious films. And so, yeah, kind of attracting a number of people to the project really came down to, again, storytelling, giving them a compelling reason why this was a project that they should jump onto. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on how we got the Lamborghini. So I lived on a road called Nassim Road in kind of central Singapore. And there are a lot of kind of the high-end embassies for all the different countries are near that area. And it's a beautiful garden area that a fair number of houses still have a lot of land. And so anytime I would tell people I live on Nassim Road, they go, oh, very exclusive. We just got really lucky. We found a great place. And at the end of the road, there was a coffee shop that I would go to all the time to do work, to write, to do research, all that kind of stuff, just to get out of the flat where we were living. And I would meet my film partner there. And one day we were working and we saw a lime green Lamborghini pull up. Guy got out, came in, grabbed a cup of coffee, started to walk out. Now, my partner looked at me and he said, wouldn't that be nice to have in the film? And I was like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it would fit perfectly with the family that we're going to be following around. And he said, I think we should go talk to that guy. Now, I had reservations about doing that kind of thing. And yet, that's one of the things about this partner, Stefan. The guy just gets a thought and he's going to go with it. And so he walks outside, taps on the guy's window, starts up a conversation, tells him the story of what we're up to. The guy gives him his business card, and he happens to be one of the owners of the Lamborghini dealership in Singapore. And he says, hey, you can go meet with my general manager, and we'll see what we can do for you. We go meet with the general manager. It was pretty much a done deal. That's the lime green Lamborghini that we got in the film. They even had their own driver, of course, bring it because they didn't want us to drive it. And so we got a driver for free as well, which was fantastic, right? And so I think the biggest lesson from this is, number one, when you get an idea at the beginning, take action as quickly as you possibly can. If you have this amazing dream that comes out of nowhere, take massive action at the beginning. Massive action, because it starts that ball rolling. Okay? That's number one. Number two, always ask. Always ask. Ask for the impossible. Why not? The worst that guy could have said was no, or you're an asshole, or that rolled his window and peeled off. Like, is that so bad? Would we have been that hurt? No, we would have went, oh, he's a Lamborghini owner, and maybe made a judgment about it. But honestly, if I was driving a Lamborghini, I probably wouldn't roll the window down. So the fact that that guy did, awesome for him to do that for us and to be so open, and then be extremely open to even consider helping us out with our project. So yeah, I just, right now with blockchain, we are right at the beginning of cryptocurrency. Now, yes, I know, 2009 is when the Bitcoin blockchain went live, started off. But it wasn't until 2014 that the Ethereum blockchain came out, which had a lot of other functionality that can sit on top of that blockchain, and you can have applications and things manipulating it and doing all kinds of things. And it really opened up what's possible. That was 2014. We are still so early in this process. it's like when the internet came out, or not even internet. It was the DARPA web or something like that, where it was just a few universities and government agencies that were interconnected between their mainframes around the United States. That stayed like that for a very, very long time. And it wasn't until 1995, 96 that more universities were on board. And I think 96 was probably 95, 96 was when the Netscape browser came out. I mean, it was initially named something else that I don't even remember. But graphical user interface, essentially. Before it was all command line and typing little, arcane things that only a few people understood. And then you can see from 95, from that point, how long it took, to the early 2000s, you had your dot-com bust, and that slowed some things down again, and then all of a sudden things take off with smartphones and all of that. Now you have mobile internet. Pretty fantastic, right? So you can see in that trajectory how long it took to get us a Google and a Facebook and an Amazon like we have it today. That's where we are with blockchain, okay, right at the beginning. So I'd like to help you see that as an artist, artists are pushing the boundaries all the time in the culture. And if you have any kind of technological bent, if you're a musician and you have your own recording studio and you're on the computer and you're figuring out how to make Ableton work and how to interface that with all of your keyboards and the MIDI and the, like someone like you, you'll be able to take this stuff and run with it. And this doesn't come very often. Like I've had this twice in my lifetime. The dot-com boom, right? And now blockchain. I'm not expecting anything else. Like if there are other things that come along that are kind of this disruptive and this huge in potentiality, I mean, I'm already thrilled that I live in this modern time, right? But I mean, that would be a miracle. And this almost is a miracle to have two of these. Like things have accelerated in so many ways that we get these opportunities a bit more than people did, certainly in the early 1900s and certainly before that. Things could stay static for a very long time. So I want you to take advantage of this. And I want you to absorb as much as you possibly can around digital marketing, building an audience that you have direct interaction with and that I'll use the marketing term that you own. Okay, the difference here between, say, having a streaming service, have all of those logins and know who their people are and serve up music to them according to the kind of music that they like. You don't have control of who you get in front of. But if you start cultivating your own relationships and have that connection with your fans, a direct connection, such that when you come out with a new album and you want to launch an NFT series along with that album, wouldn't it be nice to be able to send the information directly as you're going to go through that launch process until the product finally comes out? You want to build that anticipation because there's something awesome about that, right? So some company's going to do it or you're going to be able to do it. And if that company does it, they're going to get most of the money from that. But if you do it, or a small team, your little small team can cultivate those relationships, you're going to have fans for 25 years. And they're going to be with you through thick and thin. And they're going to follow you when you do twists and turns and you do different type of art. You're not going to be a fad. You're going to be one of the long-standing artists that has an amazing career, and really gets to make that impact that you want on the planet. So, again, today's lesson: figure out a way to be resourceful, and not rely on resources. And when you have a spark, when the idea for a new song hits you, when you come up with a new concept for a series of some paintings, if you're a painter, or when you hear someone like me tell you that there's this thing called an NFT, a non-fungible token, that allows you to both marry your art and your commerce and be the one that reaps the huge benefits from that, not only in money, compensation, but also an enrichment to your soul with actually seeing the impact that you're having on these people. You need to strike. You need to strike while the iron is hot. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you see these things, and I will periodically be going through the nuts and bolts of what you can do with blockchain and what NFTs are and how to design a series and all those kinds of things, because I'm going live 365 days in a row, and I think this is only day 11 in a row of that big chunk. So there's a lot coming. And then even beyond that, with the Phenomenal Future program, we are going to be putting out some very focused courses where we're going to walk you through working on an NFT series and being able to get this out to the world and launch it and start seeing what that's all about. Do a test. Why not, right? And even beyond that, we're going to be working with a group and kind of a mastermind where people who have done a number of these have a little bit of experience. We're going to get everybody together and be able to share our learning, figure out the things that we know how to do and share that with others. And that will help accelerate you that much more and be able to do more things with your art and have more types of experiences for your fans. So there's a lot coming down the road here at the Phenomenal Future Project, PFP. I couldn't be more excited. I'm no longer making movies, but I can do this, and I can get this information out to you and help a whole bunch of other people get art out in the world. And maybe I'll have a bigger impact because of that. I'm excited about that. I hope you are too. So please subscribe to our channel here on whatever platform you're watching. Follow the page if it happens to be on something like Facebook. If you're, just don't miss a video, okay? And please share it with an artist friend that you have that could really benefit from what it is that we're sharing here. So that's it for today. Obviously, you can tell I'm excited about what's coming from, speeding to us from the future. It's going to be phenomenal. And let's go ahead and share in that amazing future that's coming along. I'm Jason Brenizer. Until next time, adios from Texas.